Hi everybody, Creative Katie here, and welcome to my channel and another art journal tutorial. Sneak peek, there'll be more pictures at the end. So I have taped off the edge in my Canson Mixed Media art journal, and I am putting a strip of drywall tape about 2/3 down. I really have been playing with this. I've got this huge roll and I thought I need to use this. And I'm putting a coat of gesso. In my mind right now, I'm thinking I like how the gesso, it will seal it. You can use that as an adhesive. And it also, I like the way the color goes onto it. So I have this stencil, screen view, and I'm playing with putting it on, and I do, but I decide, I just want to put some script and some stamping here. So I grab my script stamp, and using my archival ink, I'm just stamping on the background. At this stage, I'm kind of grunging up the background, getting something down there. I know full well that it may show, it may not. I don't expect it all to show. Now, ideally, I should have waited for the gesso to dry because I got that on my stamp, which I transferred into my stamp pad. So you may want to take some time and let it dry. I'm just being impatient. In a minute, I will show you what inspired this page and why I am using the colors that I'm using. So I grabbed this stencil, one of my favorites, quadrifoil reversed. I have quadrifoil and the reverse, and I love both of them. And I'll put links to them, any other stencils, and special products that I use in case you want to go. There you got a sneak peek of the uh, vintage floral that I am using as a focal image and why I'm using deep violet here. I'm putting this on in a few places. This is just adding to the background. Now, ideally, I would have done all of this throughout the whole page and then put my drywall tape on. Here's another stencil. This one's fuchsia, and I love this leaf motif that's on here. I think I've used this before, and it's just the perfect size and scale. Now, the printable that you see me using right there, I've printed that out onto dollar store tissue paper, so I have it to collage on. Now, I put it on to the shiny side inadvertently, and I've learned since from Sean Petit that it works best if you put it on to the other side. But I did not have a problem with it. It didn't get overly shiny later on, but in the future I will do it on the non-shiny side. I will put a link to the video that I have where I print on deli paper and tracing paper, and I use the same process to print on the dollar store tissue paper. Here I come back with the screen view stencil, and I know I'm going to do a wash of raw umber and glazing medium, but I like adding that little bit of brown into my stenciling. And I chose the screen view to go with the mesh of the drywall tape. I figured those two different sizes of pretty much the same feel. And again, I'm forcing myself to stop and dry this. So the glazing medium keeps the paint open longer, so you can manipulate it. So I can come in and I can rub some of it off and add another layer. I'm just wiping this off with a soft cloth. And I have tons of old t-shirts that I've just ripped into, bits, and I just use them in my art. And when they get too terribly grungy, They just end up in the garbage. This pushes back those colors, that deep violet. They were so bright that I did not want them that bright. And so applying the wash of the brown pushes it back and just changes the tone of the page. And I'm continuing to play with the vintage vibe, and I'm loving it. So I'm ripping the tissue paper off. I like a ripped edge instead of a cut edge. I'm just ripping as close as I can to this. I find that that helps meld it a little bit better into the background so that you don't see the edges. And I'm getting as close as possible. Now, it seemed like I was missing something, so I grabbed this dotted rings stencil, another one of my favorites, and I'm applying, I believe I just grabbed gesso through the stencil. And this really brightens the page, and it seems to work well with the whites and highlights of the focal image that I'm putting on there. Grabbing some matte medium, and I'm going to collage that on. Now, Sean Petit said she uses lots of matte medium when she's applying tissue paper to really get it so that you don't see the edges. You don't really see that. And I found that to be so. Here I'm just kind of scratching off some of the edges, a little bit of excess. And while I've done that video for, I think it's a 3-year-old video, printing on deli paper, printing on tracing paper, I never thought to cut dollar store tissue paper and put that through. I just found that my page was lacking some texture. So I put the stencil back on exactly where I had it, and I'm using white pearl modeling paste from the Crafter's Workshop. This gives it a little bit of shimmer, shine, and that texture. I love this stuff. Because sometimes I want white, but I don't want it to be so plain white. So I'm just very carefully putting, trying to match it off. Most of the times I've gotten pretty good at it. And I'm just scraping off a little bit that got in places that I didn't want it to be. So right now on Vancouver Island, it is rainy and cloudy, and even though this is like 3:30, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I really have to start using overhead lights, and I apologize. It doesn't give the best video, but the option is not doing any videos during the cloudy season. So that's not going to happen. So I grabbed my woodless charcoal pencil and I'm adding some shading around this collaged item and really making it pop. Now, with the collage item, this time I don't add any paint to it, but you can take that and add paint and add highlights and add shading and, make it work on your page. And I wish I had taken a before and after picture because it did make a difference. Now I made sure that the collaged item was completely dry before I came back, and I'm rubbing on it, because otherwise you know what's going to happen. It's going to rip, especially I've got drywall tape underneath that. So I grabbed some sentiments that I'd cut out with my Silhouette Cameo, and I just did a trial. I painted it brown, did that work, then I put a little bit of black on there. It needed to be a little darker, so I did one as an example, and here's the one I'm choosing to go with this, just Escape. Now, this is a prototype, doing it in the art journal, and here I'm putting the brown, and then I come back with black, and so it's not pure black and it's not brown, somewhere in between, because that's what looks best. This page is a prototype. My bathroom is purple, that exact color of purple, and I want to do two um, canvases actually on a wood panel with different words like escape, relax, and hang it in my bathroom. So it's kind of a prototype, and I'm working out what I might want to do. And that's one of the things that I love about using my art journal for. If I have an idea for a canvas, for a piece of art, I get to play and experiment, and if it works, great. If it doesn't, okay. It's just on, just in an art journal. Gluing this down with gel medium or gel matte medium, not gel, which is my love. I love it right now. Removing the tape, the edge, I shaded around the outside edges as well. And then I grab my woodless charcoal pencil, and I'm going inside of this modeling paste part. And this just made everything come together. I guess the grunge, the shading on the flower, and this just worked. It made it pop. It grunged up the modeling paste a little bit, but I love, 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 love the effect. If you're trying a new technique, I've learned by trying this vintage technique, this is probably the 5th page that I've done. Every time I'm feeling a little bit more comfortable with it, I'm finding my way with it. Got a glare there, and I'm sorry for the shadow. Editing this video has waited till I've got some decent light so I can get some good pictures to put at the end. Now, because I've used charcoal, I do need to set this. And when I do this on a canvas or on a wood panel, I need to spray this with a workable fixative, or just to, and I could use Spectrafix, or Krylon has a workable fixative. And that's just going to set this so that when I do varnish it, it's not going to move on me. You can see how that just added. I guess it just made it work with the sentiment that's darker. Now, if you get this charcoal pencil in a place where you don't want it, you can remove it with a baby wipe. So it is kind of forgiving that way. So as you play, and I'm not really following any rule. There, I ripped the paper, so I have to come back in and paint. Again, I've been impatient. I don't wait till everything's perfectly dry. And you can see the close-up there. There will be close-ups at the end with pictures, links to the products that I've used in the description box. I will also put in the iCard, if you click on the eye, the link to the video where I show how to print on deli paper. And you can use the same thing for tissue paper, which is what I did here. Decided I needed a little bit of bling, so I have my gold that's thinned down, and I'm splattering with my fan brush. Thank you so much for joining me. Give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment, ask me a question. Till next time, bye.